During my 50 hours of research, I accumulated a bunch of tips, tricks, and recommendations from dozens of well-established YouTubers. I compiled and organized that into a list for you, so buckle up because we're going to speed run most of this. All right, so the first recommendation is for tags, and it's to use different versions of your title as tags. I don't think this works in a lot of cases because you'll end up with a whole sentence if you try to use your title as a tag. Instead, I think the fragments out of those potential titles would be what you would want to use. And so scrolling down here to the tag section, I recommend using something like ChatGPT to find things that people would search for that are related to the topic of your video. You can also consider using vidIQ, which is what I'm using here, which is what's generating these values. Additionally, it will also pop up with recommendations down here that you could pop in instantly. Repurposing your previous content can be super powerful. Take your podcast and your other super long form content and turn it into shorter long form content or YouTube shorts. And if you don't have any podcasts, then just take your long form content and turn it into YouTube shorts. Additionally, you can make compilation videos where you take multiple of your previous videos and make either cut or uncut versions of them. Uncut would be something like a playlist, but oftentimes does better than playlists do. And cut would be something where you're taking the highlights out and doing it for either entertainment or for highlighting important information. These 50-hour research videos are in 7 parts, and I plan on taking all of these videos and compiling them into a single video to put out as an uncut version. Additionally, I'm going to take each of these smaller videos and then cut them into shorts so I can put those out as shorts as well. Don't underestimate the usefulness of repurposing your previous content. You should engage viewers to watch another video. This will help with retention and watch time hours. You can do this at any point in the video, but oftentimes you want to do it at the end so that you can get the full watch time hours, and then at the end, chain them one video after another. Make a set of systems that make your process easier and, more importantly, faster. For videos, organize your files and make a specific set of steps that you follow each time routinely. This is a list of my steps that I take for each video. Step 1, I take a pre-made template like this, and then I make an outline for it. The first time I write the outline, I just kind of throw it all together. So step 2 is to go back through and refine the outline to get it to where I want it to be. Step 3 is to write an intro. Sometimes I don't write the intro. It depends on the video, but this one, for instance, I did write the intro. I'm personally not a big fan of scripting things because I oftentimes have to re-say them over and over and over. And so I found that if I don't have a script, I can do better. Step 4, I start recording the video scene by scene. So I oftentimes do this where I've scene 1 intro, scene 2 tags. Sometimes it's broken up into multiple parts for a single scene, but in general, I cut it into pieces. Step 5, I write an outro. I usually don't do this until I get down to the end with my recording. So I'll record through all the pieces, and then at the very end, I'll write my outro in case I want to adjust it according to the content of the video. But I don't always write this, but in this video, I will. So step 6, I edit scene by scene. So I come in here to DaVinci Resolve and I go ahead and cut whatever pieces out that I need to for the first scene, and then I move on to the next scene and so on until I'm done. Step 7 is for B-roll material where I might have to record something that I didn't record previously, or add in something like a picture like this right here, or a emotion video that might be like this for a certain part of the video where I want to emphasize a certain emotion. Step 8, I render my video. Step 9, I upload my video. And while it's uploading, I enter in details like if I want to change the title here or change something about the description. Usually I end up doing that later, but I would select playlists and that sort of thing while I'm here and other things. Once I have all the preliminary stuff entered in, I go over to the visibility tab and I go to schedule it so that it's at least 30 minutes or 60 minutes into the future. So I have enough time to go back and make things like my description and my title and my thumbnail. I don't tend to make those ahead of time. I actually use ChatGPT and that sort of thing to help me out with those. For step 11, I'm going to be giving ChatGPT my outline and transcript. So this is the reason why I schedule it so that I can go over here and go to the subtitle section and grab out the transcript so I can use that for ChatGPT. Then I come over to ChatGPT and I give it some prompts. First, I'm going to give it my outline, then my transcript. Then I give it another prompt to tell me some keywords. Then I ask for some titles. And lastly, I ask for a description. And depending on the situation, sometimes I also ask for some assistance on coming up with a good thumbnail design. Step 12, I take those details and I start filling back in the rest of the details I missed. And lastly, step 13, I change it from a schedule to just publishing it now. Also, you should make templates for your thumbnails so that you can reuse them, especially when you don't have time to make a new one. So like here, I have this one and this one that are the same. And then I have this one and this one that have a base that are the same. and this one and this one. So all I had to do was just take out the picture and then add in the extra text for that particular one. If you have a social media presence on another platform, consider pulling those viewers over, though note that the conversion rate might not be that great. Consider cutting to different cameras if you have more than one camera, so to give better visual diversity. Add time codes, aka timestamps or chapters, to your videos to give better retention. That's what shows up on the bar and shows the different sections of the video. And that's done by doing this right here. All right, so for this next one, it's going to depend on what kind of content you make. If you make gaming videos or other kind of real-time content, this could be helpful for you, although you may need to have a large viewership in order to make use of it. But if you come over here to the retention section, wherever you see maybe a drop like this, you could consider cutting that out. So for this one, 148 to 153, you can actually then go over here to this editor section, and then you can add in, you can go to trim and cut and then add a new cut. And then you can kind of just take a certain piece out of it and then just go ahead and cut it out. And then you would find the areas that you specifically had dips and cut those pieces out. Now, like I said, this really only applies to gaming videos or other kind of real-time content where you can cut out a piece and it doesn't really break the continuity. So make sure you consider that when you're using this tool. For instance, it doesn't really work for my videos because they're continuous, going from one point to the next. So here on this video, I added this extra little bit for also subscribe to Ty Myers for similar content. And then I add his link to his channel and then !sub_ confirmation equals 1. By putting this here, when you click on the link, it will pop up with this when it loads up, and then you can subscribe right away. So you can use this on other social media sites or maybe on comments like I did, though I did just find out while recording this that it does not work right here in your description. When you place it here, what ends up showing up is just the first part of the link and it doesn't have the #sub confirmation. Okay, so there are glow effects that can show up around here and around here. And you may already know about this, but in case you don't, or in case you don't know how it operates, basically it's supposed to work and it may not work right now. I'll try it out. I've said it a few times in the video already, but if I say the words like subscribe, you might have to say it more than once, or subscribe button, that it might make the subscribe section glow. And likewise, you can make this glow as well by saying stuff like button, give us a like, thumbs up, like this video, smash the like button. I'm not sure if any of these are working, but these are supposed to trigger these, but the trigger isn't the best. You do have to be very clear, and sometimes you have to repeat it. So I don't really know. They need to improve that a bit. Let me know in the comments if either of these two worked at any point in time during the video. Oh, also, you should subscribe and you should also like the video. All right, now on to some general recommendations and some things to consider. Long form videos tend to get more subscribers per video, but shorts take less time. You can also clip your long form videos to make shorts. Ad revenue for shorts is lower than it is for long form and also might garner a different set of audience than your long form videos. And depending on your content, they may never watch your long form. Better ideas is more important than the number of uploads or even the effort that you're putting into the video. When you're early on, you should be focusing on trying to get anything and everything out the door just so you can have experience and get the ball rolling. But after that, you need to switch focus into better ideas for your content. Watch YouTube for techniques and pay attention. Watch as a creator and not as a viewer. Look for how they do their editing, transitions, intros, outros, length of their video, and the pacing. And take notes. Aim to build a community by engaging with your viewers. Reply to their comments. Ask questions in the comments. Ask for feedback and ask specific questions so that you can get specific answers. And get feedback on videos that didn't do well. Don't focus on metrics. I know this can be difficult, but focusing too much on metrics will lead you down a path of remorse and feeling like you're not good enough. If you think this is easy to do, then you probably haven't posted videos on YouTube before. I think for most people, it takes a constant effort to not focus on metrics. Now, I track them a lot on this channel because Create by Fire was meant to be a transparent and growth tracking channel, but ultimately you should be using them as guidance and not a measure of self-worth. Now, that being said, we'll go ahead and cover two of the most important metrics that you should be using. Click-through rate is the percentage of people that clicked on your video after it showed up. The various places it could show up would be like your browse page or the search results or a suggested video at the end of another video or on the right-hand panel. All of those would be considered impressions, and every time someone clicks on it, that would be a click-through on that impression. If you have 100 impressions and 10 clicks, that would be a 10% click-through rate. The three main contributors to click-through rate are thumbnail, title, and tags. Now, as previously mentioned on this channel, thumbnail and title are incredibly important to get the clicks. However, if you use the wrong tags, you'll send them to viewers who may not be actually interested in watching your video, thereby lowering your click-through rate. So be careful. Now, for shorts, they don't really have click-through rate. Instead, they have VVSA. That's viewed versus swiped away. This is where you're scrolling through through. And if you stop and you watch a short, then that would be viewed. And if you swipe past it, then that's swiped away. Obviously, you want to have a higher ratio of more viewed versus ones that are swiped away. Now, there isn't really a public definition, as far as I know, on what swiped away really means, but the consensus seems to be the first few seconds or some percentage of the video. If you swipe during that time period, then it would be considered swiped away. Patty Galloway did a study on VVSA on YouTube Shorts across 33 YouTube channels and 5,400 shorts. The data is here on this graph. If you get less than 50%, you're probably only going to get 1,000 to 2,000 views. 50 to 60% on average, maybe 5K. 60% to 70%, more like 10K. 70 to 75% would be closer to 80K, and 75% to 80% would be 100K, and 85% doesn't really have a lot of data, but you're probably going to get an average of maybe 800,000 views. So I would say the conclusion of this study would be that if you don't get at least 60%, you're not really going to get a lot of views, and if you really need to be aiming for at least 70% if you want to have a good video. Average view duration is basically the average time people watch your video, and it's probably your most important metric. More AVD leads to better algorithm results, leads to more views. You can also use average percent viewed, which is just your AVD versus your video length. So if you have a 10-minute video and a 2-minute AVD, then you'll have a 20% average percentage viewed. Both can be useful and have pros and cons, but at the end of the day, watch time hours does not care about what percentage of your video was viewed. Use metrics to try to understand what works and what doesn't. And remember, don't use them as a measure of your self-worth. These rapid-fire tips, tricks, and recommendations were wide-ranging, but can be very helpful. Most of these would not be able to fill an entire video on their own. I hope you found a few tidbits of information within these that were useful. If you were able to keep up with that speed run, leave a like on the video. And let me know in the comments what you think of the speedrun format. And subscribe to join me on my journey from zero to YouTube hero. This is Create by Fire.